Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to A Look in the Lab. My name is Fran Parathyris, and I am your host today. And I have with me Jillian Swafford from Oaks Dental Designs in Tennessee. She is the owner and operator of her own dental laboratory, and she is also the co-founder of Ladies of the Mill. And I'm so honored to have her here to spend a little time with me today. Thanks, Jill. How are you?
I am great, Fran. Thank you so much for having us. Yeah, we're excited to be here and just to welcome everybody to the lab for a few minutes. And yeah, let's hang out.
And you are in your laboratory, right? So we really are taking a look inside of her laboratory.
Yes. So like we're here now. So this is us.
Very cool. It's beautiful. And the name of your laboratory again is Oaks Dental Designs, right? And when did you get started with your own laboratory? When did you get started?
We got started 2018, 2019. That's 2018. 2018 is when we kind of got started with everything. And so we're going into this is our fourth year. We're really just now at our fourth year mark because I didn't start full time until around July of that year.
Okay.
So yeah, we're just turned 4.
Congratulations. Congratulations. I'm sure you've grown in leaps and bounds since day one, and real true entrepreneur, like I said before. We're basically going to be talking about turning your vision right into a reality, because you had this vision and now it's a reality, and that's a beautiful thing. You're going to be giving us some insights into owning your own business and entrepreneurship, which is really, really a cool thing.
Yeah.
But just want to know, like, how did you get started in your career in the dental industry?
So dental altogether was 18 years old, senior in high school, couldn't finish playing basketball. I had all my credits and my pastor was like, "You want a job? My dentist is hiring somebody to file charts." And so I hired on there in my little crutches because I was on crutches because of an injury, and never left. I mean, I fell in love with just being able to care for people and see people's lives improve through their confidence and through their health and just caring for people. And then it just kind of progressed over 15 years in general dentistry before we opened the lab.
That's really cool. I also started as a dental assistant, and I think I started at the age of 14, believe it or not. Crazy.
Love it.
That, yeah, it was great, and I moved on and became a dental hygienist, and now I'm here with Henry Schein, and I love it. My career has evolved as well, and we'll have to start somewhere, right? And assisting, it's a great, great job. It really is, especially for, young people coming up, for sure.
For sure.
How were you introduced into the lab industry within that dental office?
So probably when I was 20, I had my peg laterals finally veneered. So I had peg laterals my whole life. And so if you don't know what those are the little tiny baby teeth beside your 2 front ones. So my 2 on the side were a little smaller than they're supposed to be. So I did braces and had tons of fillings that would pop off and all that over the years. But at 20, I finally had veneers put on, and just on 7 and 10. And so the lab that was doing them was next door to our office. And so I was able to go physically see them be made and all that. And that was the first time I had ever seen the lab. So that was at 20. And then I started the lab at 34, 33, 33.
So you
So
really had
yeah.
your own feeling about what that made you feel like to actually get those, veneers put on, and how that probably changed your life. You didn't really have to worry about discoloration, right? Everything that goes along with bonding.
Yes,
What
absolutely. I
made
mean,
you
it was
pivot into?
crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it or not, I have the same exact thing. One peg lateral.
There you go.
And then I broke a central, so there you go. I had to do a couple of veneers as well. But I really didn't understand the laboratory industry until I started with Henry Schein, and I'm just amazed by it and like what you all do as laboratory technicians, and the lives that you change with your expertise and your artistry. So I just want to say that I have the utmost respect. Really, I do. But I wanted to know what made you decide. Was it that experience that made you pivot your career from on the clinical end into
Oh
the
no.
laboratory?
No, 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 no. What made me decide to pivot was the fact that I cannot own a office, a general dental office in Tennessee. So in Tennessee, we cannot own dental offices unless you're a dentist.
Hmm.
So some other states, you can be a hygienist or just a business owner actually and own a dental office. And I knew I couldn't do that. And where I live is so rural that my commute was like an hour a day one way. And so, what really was the pivotal moment was having children. So, once I had kids and my time just became so much more valuable than it was before because I was shared between more places. So, once I had kids, I was like, man, this is just so hard to lose this much time every day. And so, yeah, all of a sudden I decided, I think I'm going to open a lab and have it at our home. And then now here we are. So,
Fantastic. And now you've built a beautiful laboratory out of your home, right? You've been
yes.
doing that, and then, you acquired another laboratory. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, so we are 4 years in, and so about a year and a half into, well, actually a year into full time owning, I ran across this ad, or not an ad, but a post on Facebook that was a lab that was selling out in Gulf Shores. The guy was ready to retire and was interested in talking to somebody that might want to buy. And so, long story short, that had a lot of God intervening along the way, like thousands of dollars intervening along the way and just opening and closing doors. We bought the lab in Gulf Shores, Alabama, and brought a U-Haul down there and brought everything back up here. And then COVID hit. And so here I was with a shell of a building. We have 1,800 square feet here, and it's set here for over a year, just sitting as a dried in lab. I mean, there was nothing on the inside was done.
Hmm.
And so we bought the lab, brought it back. We still worked with their clients, but literally 6 weeks after we brought, or yeah, 6 weeks after we came back with the lab and acquired their clients, COVID hit and everybody shut down.
Yeah.
So that was very, very challenging as I had just signed a massive bank loan, the largest bank loan of my life, to build the lab and then to acquire his business. And so just learning my faith through that time strengthened and just really just leaning into webinars and learning and pushing our skills past what we had been able to do before.
Hmm.
So we really tried to maximize the time between definitely enjoying my first summer as a stay-at-home mom because I had never been able to do that. And then while I was there, utilizing that time to also jump on as many learning opportunities as we could from home. And so we actually grew through COVID. So we actually had a great year that year after it was all said and done. But yeah, it's been a crazy last few years, as it has for everybody. I mean, we've all had to pivot and learn and kind of transition or figure out another way to do that or a better, more efficient way. And so I think it's challenged all of us as entrepreneurs, especially just to look outside the box. And I think it's made us all better, honestly.
Absolutely. And it just, gave you the time that you needed basically with your family. And like you said, to learn.
Yeah.
Because if you were, maybe if you look at it another way, if you were just thrown in there, maybe you wouldn't be as successful and
Yeah.
know as much as you do now and be able to implement certain things into your office.
Well, I think it humbled us a lot too, just as a whole. I mean, we all just we were all humbled a bit, so just to step back and say, okay, let's plan for what ifs.
Right.
And that was some things I didn't have in place yet. And so it really taught me to plan for the what if and to know that it's just not always secure and, bright and rosy. There's going to be bumps along the way. So it
Oh,
definitely
definitely.
made me a stronger owner and employer for sure.
And honestly, that was my next question to you. I wanted to know, like, being a new business owner, especially in the very beginning, what your challenges were. And really, you had the biggest challenge, having to cope and deal with COVID and everything being shut down and like, what are we going to do now, kind of a thing. And look how you've come out of it. I mean, really come out of it beautifully.
I
Um,
mean, really, I don't take a lot of credit for it. I really don't. I mean, God just has been so good in all of it. And just being able to step back and have that time to learn was crucial. And it was something I didn't even know I needed, and so there was a lot of bad that came from COVID. Don't get me wrong. I wish it had never happened, but to be able to look back and see the roses after the storm kind of thing, it's definitely benefited me in the long run.
So out of everything that you've learned, through COVID, really, was that a time that you found that there was a lot of importance in embracing like digital applications from analog applications? I mean, did you spend a lot of
Oh
your
my
time like
gosh.
really honing in on that?
Yes. So we saw two huge shifts during COVID. One, we saw a lot of people coming back to US. Okay. So what I mean by that is just there's such an overseas market sometimes for what we do for the restorations. And that's I'm not even going to get into that political battle, but we saw a lot of that shift back to the US. So like we had stickers on all of our boxes that said made in the USA. And, we just saw that pride plus that just health reasons that they had to come back to US. So we saw that shift. And then the second was absolutely going digital. I mean, you're talking about just the sanitary side of it. I remember the first time I received a PVS impression after COVID. I can't tell you how many times I sanitized it. And I know that I only have to sanitize it once. Like I know that process.
Yeah,
But just that fear, I mean, I was sitting in the lab like gloved up, masked up. I felt like I needed a jacket on, for it was crazy.
yeah,
And so we definitely saw a shift in people seeing the health sanitary reasons to go with digital, but also just the ease of that and how the patients were already going through so much. And so just to have that and have it quicker and easier and more predictable and less changes to an analog, it was huge.
definitely. And with that being said, I mean, there are so many labs still utilizing the analog applications. What words of encouragement would you give somebody to get them to actually start embracing and changing some of that analog to a digital process?
Absolutely. I mean, I, I still talk to people now that, haven't converted to 3D printing yet for their models, or, they are still doing analog, which we still do analog. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I have an analog model right beside me. So it's not that we don't do any of it, but we're 90, I would say 98%, 95% probably digital.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we made that switch, and I went from pouring 95% of my cases, pouring them, trimming them, sectioning them. Oh my gosh, my workload shifted drastically, and depending on what software you use, there's so many of them out there. And I think there's the right software for every person is different. And
Mm-hmm.
for every lab is different because we all do different things and we don't all do the same restorations and all that. But I think there is definitely a software out there for you that will fit your needs in your computing abilities or whatever. And that's what I try to tell everybody. If I can learn to do this having no lab knowledge, if you've been doing analog for all this time, like this is going to be a breeze for you. There's going to be a slight learning curve. But after that, your freedom and your time, gosh, you're going to have a life again.
I mean,
So
as an
it's
assistant,
crazy.
I poured models. I mean, we used to
Mhm.
send our models over to the lab and boxing them up, cutting them down, doing all of that. And
Oh,
I just remember it being so messy. I'd be like, oh,
yes.
I don't want to do that, but I had to as part of my job. I wish they had 3D printing of models, you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
back
Like
then.
in our new lab, our footprint for model, like our model station footprint in the lab is so tiny compared to our digital footprint in our lab, and so we have this tiny space to pour up models because we don't do that many of them and it's
Gosh,
not messy because we don't
yeah.
have a ton of them, but we have this massive footprint for all of our digital stuff, and so it definitely that shift has happened even since I started in our own lab. Because when I first started, I wasn't receiving really digital cases from anyone. It was all analog.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Shift is
huge freedom.
definitely, huge shift is happening.
Mm.
I know you're a wife and a mom. I mean, you have a beautiful family. Um, how has incorporating the digital processes and workflows in your laboratory benefited your really home life and work balance?
Oh gosh, I mean, countless ways. But I mean, just the simple ones are things like going on vacation, so being able to go on vacation and logging in at night to check off cases, the lab is still moving even when I'm not here, and that is huge. I mean, I have all the ability to still handle quality control before something's milled and to put my last minute touches on things, which thankfully with Erin, who's behind me, she's my amazingness. Uh,
Oh,
but
she is. Hey, Erin.
thankfully having her, I don't have a whole lot of touches that I have to put on things, but when it's needed, I can. That case is not stopped until I get back in town, 6 days later. It's in production the next day in the mill. So between that and just the time saving that it creates, that I'm able to go home and cook dinner for my family. I pick them up and drop them off at school every day. There's just all these things that just have created so much freedom. Now we are our own worst enemy. Like if you speed up one process, you will tend to take on more of that process and create more chains for ourselves. We do that to ourselves. But the thing is, when you're working in digital, I can train someone to design a crown digitally way easier than I can train someone to stack porcelain on a PFM crown. So when you're talking about workforce, which is a huge issue in our industry right now, massive, it's on every forum, I can't find somebody to work, or we need somebody for this, or we need somebody for that. When you shift to the digital world, you have opened up such a larger mass of people that you can employ. Yes, they still have to have knowledge, and yes, you still have to train them, and I understand all of that. But I'm telling you, I can design a crown much faster than I can stack it with porcelain. So,
Yeah. So right then and there, I mean, there's a lot of ease that goes along with that as well.
yeah.
So, and like you said, quality time, family time is being a small business owner of any type, if you're not there a lot of the time, your operation is not moving forward. But with
Right.
this, you said it is. You're on vacation and you can be, working from wherever you are, and your lab is still in production. And that's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. And it's as if I'm still there. That's the great part. Like even someone that has analog, their lab can still be going on, but it's like you can't physically be there to make those checkpoints. But it's as if I'm still right here. I'm looking at the same computer screen I would look at if I was here, So it's just,
Right.
It makes it so much more real and tangible. So
Excellent. Well, that I'm sure a lot of people are going, maybe that's something that I needed in life, right? Can you discuss what kind of impact that digital processes has made within your lab profitability? Like, do you feel that you're more profitable because you've changed into the digital forum?
yes, which granted, my story is a little different than everybody else's story, and I understand that. And some people think that what the route that we took was great, and other people are very skeptical about our route because most all of our equipment is used equipment. And so it's a kind of different storyline there, just because my investment to get in the game of digital was much less than it is for a lot of people who buy brand new. So, I mean, literally every piece of major equipment I own, except for our 3D printer, is I bought from another lab, right? So our scanners, our intraoral scanner, our mills, all three of our mills, our computers. I mean, everything came just as a package deal. And so for me, switching to that, I mean, my ROI is crazy compared to what it was when it was analog. I mean, it's just a totally different game changer. I'm not buying stone all the time. I'm not buying pins all the time. I'm not buying investment material all the time. Granted, we can still do all of those things. Everything I just mentioned, we still have the capabilities to do. We haven't tossed them outside.
Right.
But I don't have to keep that inventory like I used to. And keeping up with inventory and knowing what you're going to need is so much easier once you go digital. It's so much easier. And so for me, I mean, our profitability just went through the roof compared to what it was when we were analog.
Excellent. Excellent. That's great. So are you taking any additional steps to get your lab even further into the digital realm?
Yes and no. We're at a point right now that we want to, I want to bring on another teammate and have them at a point that they're ready to go before we dive into the next thing. Obviously, the hottest thing on the market right now is removables, and we all know that. We would be crazy if we weren't talking about it. And our lab is strictly fixed. So for me, I mean, we're dabbling in all on fours. We have it all on four that was milling as we were just getting on this call. It was finishing up, and so we have that going on. So we're getting into that as a fully digital process, which is a whole new ball game, and there's so much to learn. But there's so much information out there, and there's so many people. There's so many resources. Like that's definitely our next direction. And then printing temporaries for our larger cases is probably the next thing on my radar. So being able to print the temporaries and have them delivered with the wax up or whatever with the patient so that when they prep it, they can see our temporaries that we've kind of customized to create gum tissue where we want it and all that. That's really where my next mental space is at as far as progressing us, is definitely in the printed temps. I'm not quite to the printed crowns permanent. Don't bash me. I don't need your emails afterward. Like I'm good. I'll follow you guys as you go, but definitely for us, printed temps are going to be our next thing to start sending out with our larger cases.
Yeah, I mean, you're taking it one step at a time, which is really
only from learning the hard way. Like I have definitely been known to dive in way over my head before. That is part of the learning process of entrepreneurship, and I've made plenty of those dive mistakes.
And you learn from them. So now you're like, okay, I'm going to take baby steps. I'll master this first. I'll move on to the next once I master that first. So
yeah. And that's really how the lab was born. I mean, we only offered posterior single unit crowns when we started 4 years ago. That was it. I mean, you better have a straight on, really easy single unit posterior molar to send me or I'm not touching it. And now it's like, we don't know what's coming in the door. When we open that Connect case or that Medic case or iTero or whatever, you don't know what it's going to be. I mean, it's crazy just seeing how that's progressed, but it all started with one step at a time and kind of getting that down and then going to the next. So
it's like knowing what your limitations are so you can master them and just be really proficient at that one thing so that, you know, you're building a good reputation and then you'll take on the next thing.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing that there's a fine line there for people that are starting out and that are kind of doing the same thing as we've done or whatever, no matter what you're trying to get into. I think there's a fine line of mastering the first thing before you move on to the next. And then there's also that being afraid of failing that keeps you from progressing. And I think that's where a lot of people are stuck in our market right now. We're afraid of what we might mess up. And so it's like, I'm not going to take that risk yet. But by doing that, man, when you finally wake up and decide to get in the ball game, you are way behind those front runners. You know, so I think there's a fine balance there. You have to be willing to take that risk of maybe not knowing. I did a presentation a few years back and it was titled, Your Want To Has to Be More Than Your Know-How. Because I'm never going to have all the information I need before I start something. But if I want it bad enough, then I'll figure out the things that I'm missing. And so I think that we have to kind of be in that realm, the way that digital is and the way that dentistry is advancing so quickly. We've got to be in that mindset that I want it, I'm going to figure it out, and we're going to go after it. I may not know exactly how to do it yet, but we're still going to go. I think if we don't do that, we're going to be way behind.
Well, like you said, there's so many people that are out there that are willing to help. I mean, and Zahn is really one of those people. I mean,
yeah.
You have, you know, Zahn Academy where people are learning, you know, every week, a few times a week, different workflows about different pieces of equipment. You can kind of make your decisions from there. We have a beautiful electrical support team that's ready to help, once you do get that piece of equipment into your office, a very, very smart and knowledgeable sales team. So being on social media, there are so many people that are out there that are so happy to give back to the profession, saying, hey, look,
Mhm.
I can help you. I can teach you to do X, Y, and Z. They're out there. I watch them every day, on Facebook and
Absolutely.
groups, just people that are willing to mentor each other within this laboratory, profession that I find is so beautiful as well. It's
Yeah.
not like, oh, I know how to do this, but I'm keeping it to myself. It's like, no, I know how to do this and I want to teach you so you can be just as good.
Yep.
So that's really, because at the end of the day, really your expertise is helping another human being, which is just a beautiful thing. At the end of the day, helping that patient,
Absolutely.
that person that's out there,
I
so
mean, it's
great.
helping our field. That's the thing. Like we keep talking about how our field is dying or that it's in turmoil or it's we're losing it as far as the lab industry. But that's the thing. If we keep sharing our knowledge the way that I've experienced since I came into this side of it, crossing over to the dark side or whatever from general, if we keep doing that and we keep creating this excitement about what we're doing, then we're going to bring in that next generation that's just going to be that much more motivated, that much more intelligent in things that we're not strong in, and they're going to learn from us as well. But if we keep doing that, then our industry is going to thrive, but we have to just keep that excitement up about what we're doing and sharing and yeah, it's all about that. Growing each other is so much more fun than just growing yourself.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you're giving to some other person and just enriching their life. Your
Yep,
work, doing that, and you have to feel good about that. I mean, I really, really believe that along with your clinical partners, you're changing that patient's life.
absolutely.
And it's a beautiful thing. And speaking about the clinical partners, have you any discussions with them about an analog process to a digital process and like what you're doing and how it speeds up the process of them getting their cases back and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so we've been able to bring, since we finally got in our new space and we have room, we've been able to bring in, especially one I can think of off the top of my head, our local doctor who is analog and is looking to go digital. And so we brought their whole team out. We had lunch together here at the lab, and they got to see the process from start to finish versus analog. This is what happens when you guys send us a case. This is the timeline. This is what we have to do with it. Now, let me show you what happens when you send me a digital one. And within like 10 minutes, the case is in the milling. From the time I received it, it's already in the mill, milling, and it will go out tomorrow. And it's just like that, whoa, that eye-opening moment of like, man, that's so much faster and there's less human error and there's more predictability. And you mean I can mark my margins? I'm like, yeah, you have to mark your margins or I'm going to deny your case. um, but it's really cool to see their eyes just kind of go, okay, all right. So
I'll
yeah, I
never
mean,
forget it when for the first time, was 4 years ago after a career of being in the clinical world, walking into a laboratory for the first time and just, I was in awe of everything that I saw. And I
yep,
have a newfound respect for the laboratory industry because I
yep,
really knew nothing about it. And now, I can sit chairside and talk to patients about workflows and new materials that are out there and how we could change
yep.
Y and Z and make things look more lifelike. And I just thought that connection between the clinical world and the laboratory world is so important. That's why I wanted to ask you if you do anything
Yeah.
special with your
It's
clinical.
so nice too. I mean, like we're finally able to bring patients in for shade checks and do custom. I'm also, as an entrepreneur, multitasking and I'm
I
working
see
on
that.
this
I
call.
see
So,
that.
that one, there you go. But we were able to bring people in for a shade check just chair side. Like this patient, they had been using another lab, and long story short, we're trying to match an old zirconia to a new zirconia. We don't know what the old zirconia was, and we're trying to get the shade match. And they had shaded it like 3 times already. We had shaded it once chair side, and then we brought it back here to stain and glaze. Wasn't right. So we had done one attempt, wasn't right. She comes here to our lab. We fired it once. We milled out 2 different shades, tried them in to see what value and stuff we liked, and then picked the one that we liked. was able to shade it here, fired it once, patient loved it. Done. This patient had gone through 6 times of doing this. But to be able to bring her in and let her see the digital side of the patient herself was just like, this is so cool. Her husband came with her, and it was just such a good experience. But I mean, just bringing them into our world is so cool because most people don't even realize there's a dental lab that makes their crown. They think the doctor makes it. They don't understand that
Absolutely.
concept. And
Absolutely.
so it's really cool to introduce other people that don't know what we do.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, I know we spoke briefly about 3D printing and you are printing models.
Yes.
So that's really, really, really cool. I know that, 3D printing is being spoken about everywhere. Like you said, it's all over. It's every form,
Yes.
whether it's workflows to printers to resins. And are you looking to do, besides models, like starting any other 3D printing like workflow into your laboratory at this time?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we are doing some knot guards and things like that. And then, but the 3D printed temps are definitely our next avenue. And
Mhm.
so being able to have that, and we have the resin capability to be able to bring that in and start doing that now. So that's kind of our next avenue as far as expanding our 3D printing. Just finally having the ability to print in-house was a game changer for us. I know there's so many people that are outsourcing their models, which
Yeah.
is fine. There are so many wonderful places. I had somebody that was outsourcing. We were outsourcing too, and it was so fantastic. But finally having the process in-house, oh my gosh, it was so nice to just print the model, walk over to the printer and get it. I would have it in 25 minutes or whatever, cured and washed and everything, instead of going and picking up my bulk model pickup once a day from this other lab or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think sometimes we are so worried about the investment and the training and the time it's going to take us to learn the printer that we're just like, oh, we'll just keep outsourcing. But the flexibility and just the ease that it creates for you to have that model in hand when you want it, or whatever it is you're printing, whether it's models, knot guards, denture bases, denture teeth, whatever, just having it in house right then. Gosh, I'm telling you, go buy a printer. It's fantastic.
Exactly. Exactly. So I want to switch now to your second passion, ladies,
Okay.
ladies of the mill.
Ooh.
I know you're the co-founder, along with Christina Heslip, right? That's
Yes.
you both came and kind of developed this venture and this group of incredible people together. So I want to know what prompted you guys to actually say, hey, let's make a group, and when you decided to start doing this.
So I remember being in Chicago, and it was after I had gone to one other event that was for dental technology. And so it's for dental lab technicians. And I remember I have this selfie. I still have it somewhere, and I've got to look it up because I reference it all the time. But I have this selfie, and I'm like, I took a picture to send to my husband, and I didn't even think twice about it. I sent it, and we were all sitting there at the registration line, and you can't see another woman in the picture. And I was like, this is so weird. I come from dentistry side, where every event that you go to in general dentistry, you're surrounded by females. I mean, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And so I just remember when I sent it, I took it like a double take at it, and I was like, how weird is this? This is so crazy. Like, there's not a lot of women here. And so that's kind of just got my wheels turning, I guess. I was just like, this is just such an odd shift. And so anyhow, we went to Chicago, and I remember talking with Bill Atkinson, and he was like, "Man, you've just got an energy, da da da." And I was like, "I don't know. I mean, I just like talking to people, I like getting groups together." And I was like, "But I'm not a feminist. Like, I'm not a self-proclaimed like I'm just not like that. I think we all need each other, and we all need to be in this together, and all that." And so it was really weird because not long after that was when I was like, man, there's so many women that have reached out to me after speaking, and they're like, man, it's just so nice to see a female on stage. Man, it was so nice to sit and listen to you. Like, your perspective was just different, and I felt like I understood it better, or I grasped what you were saying better just because we were so relatable.
Yeah.
And that's where it started. I mean, really, I would have women that were emailing me or messaging me after I had spoke. And I was like, man, it just feels like they need a space. And so, yeah, we created the space. I called Christina, who I had met just not that long before. And I was like, I'm going to make this group. What do you think about it? And so we made the group up. And then about 2 years in is when COVID, and we decided to do the summit. And now it's just craziness.
A lot of people helping each other, which is that's how I see it. I mean, what exactly were you looking to get out of this? Like, what were your hopes to get out of
Just a safe space. I honestly, like, it just felt like sometimes, and this isn't any industry, it's not the lab industry in general, but I mean, social media can be kind of snarky, and it just, though I remember this one time somebody posted this picture of this, it was their first anterior bridge, and it just got ripped to shreds. And it was just kind of like, man, like,
why?
why?
Yeah, why?
Man, there's a difference in critique and criticism, and I don't know, that just kind of struck me the wrong way. And so we just wanted to create a space where people could put stuff up here and say, look, I know this is my first one and I'm super, super excited about it. Tell me where I can make it better. And it not be, well, it's trash anyway, so throw it away. And that would be females and males responded. I mean, it wasn't just that one was worse than the other, but that's the thing about the mill. Like, if you're here, we play nice together and we play well together, and don't mess with that.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. I mean,
I don't know.
I turned to Ladies of Mill and other groups as well. When I first started a look in the lab, and I just said, hey, I'm looking for people to embrace me and listen, if you could do that. And there were so many beautiful responses. It just seems like a real group of really nice people that get together and who want to learn and celebrate. That's what it seems to me,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
congratulations on that, both you and Christina.
Thank you.
How many members do you have now? And are they from all over the country?
Yeah, so we right now we've got, I think, around 570 members or so. And not just the country. I mean, we have people from other countries as well, which is kind of fun.
Nice.
So it started out just this little local kind of regional thing that I thought, I know a few women that might want to jump in here together or whatever. And it's just kind of changed to a point now where you don't know who's going to answer you or what time of the day or not they're going to answer you, because you don't know where they're located. So it's been kind of neat as far as that aspect goes. They're from everywhere. So
Nice. I mean, you have your summit now coming up in less than 10 days.
yes.
In Nashville. Very exciting. So can you tell us a little bit about what's going to be going on there?
Oh my gosh, we are super excited about Nashville. Speaking of where people are coming from, I mean, we've got people coming from the UK, Germany, we have Bermuda, the island of Bermuda, Canada, and then all over the US. And so I remember the first time that we got somebody coming from overseas, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I was so honored that they were going to take their time and their investment to come and come to this summit. Like, there's so many things to choose from. And so, like, the pressure level went from like here to like to up there to deliver. And so what we're delivering at this year's summit is we've got speakers all day on Friday on our main stage, just like we had last year. At the summit, the word that kept coming up last year was vulnerable, very raw, very real. There's not a lot of facades going on of, oh, I'm awesome. And it's just, look, man, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm taking it a day at a time. I'm going to tell you what I learned so far. And so it was just really refreshing to have that kind of perspective from everybody. So we'll have speakers all day. We've got line dancing lined up. We've got a magician coming in for our 90s night, which is going to be super fun. His wife is also a mind reader, which
Oh, wow.
I'm super excited about. I know that sounds crazy, but he's like, she can literally tell a woman the numbers on her lipstick that are in her purse.
Wow.
I'm like, what? No, now, so anyways, I'm excited about that. It's just something fun and
Yeah.
lighthearted. And then we have some breakout sessions this year. So this is the first time that we're going to offer breakout sessions. This is our second summit, but we're going to have some breakout sessions for photography, for just talking about really understanding occlusion and just how to utilize that in the digital side of things, because so often we talk about how occlusion gets lost in digital dentistry because we don't have the virtual articulators always to create those digital movements. And so we've got a breakout session about that. We have a breakout session about branding, and then we have a straight up 3-hour course that Annex Dent and Preet are putting on with Sarah Williamson that is all about pink gum tissue, which we're super excited about, and Preet parts and just how to really create your all-on-4 and bring it to life. And gosh, we have printer throwdowns where we're talking about printers. All the printer companies are printing the same file. They have to design the same file. It's the same first time we're ever doing apples to apples with printers. And the same thing with our software companies. So we've got several design software companies that are designing the same exact case live on stage in real time, and really showing people the differences in the softwares and the workflows and the printers to hopefully help people figure out which one's right for them, right? But it's not from a sales standpoint. It's just from the people who made the software. Like, ask me whatever question you want. Like, I'd help design the software or whatever. And so you've got really non-biased, just straight, this is what it can do and this is what it can't do, and so we're really excited about that.
That's awesome.
So we have a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot, but I'm sure it's going to be wonderful. And all of us here at Zahn are really happy to be able to support your summit, and very excited, some of us, to be attending as well. So we're definitely looking forward to it. I'm sure it's going to be a huge success.
Well, thank you. We're so excited. We've had so much support for this thing the past 2 years. I mean, we've grown this year, obviously, between ticket sales and vendors, but just having people, again, just Christina, I've talked about it so many times, just how humbling it is that people are excited to come and willing to invest time off from their job to travel from everywhere, whether it's a state away, a city away, or a country away, and come to this summit. Like, it really means a lot to us. And we want to deliver the best thing that we can for you guys that's different than anything else that you go to in the industry.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm sure everybody that's coming is very excited for it. I see posts, it's like, it's great. If somebody wants to become a member of Ladies of the Mill, how do they do that?
Yes, so we have our Facebook group, so you can find us on Facebook, Ladies of the Mill. We also have our website, ladiesofthemill.com. We can purchase tickets there for the event. You can kind of see what we have going on as far as our speakers and our events and those type things. And so, yeah, we've got all that there. But ladiesofthemill.com is our website, but the Facebook is where you would actually join the actual group, and that's Ladies of the Mill on Facebook.
So where do you see yourself in like 3 to 5 years from now? You have a vision?
Friend.
That's a tough one, right?
Honestly, 3 to 5 years from now, I mean, I have goals and plans and all those things, but just staying on the track that we're on now and growing that. We've got several opportunities this year to speak and share. We're going to be there at Ladies of the Mill. We're going to be at DS World speaking for the first time. So I'm super excited about going to Las Vegas. It's my first time at DS World. And we've got Whip Mixes Forum is coming up that we're speaking at also. And so 3 to 5 years, that part of me and that passion to just encourage and inspire other people and grow other people, that is my drug. I mean, I don't know if that's ever something I would want quoted and printed somewhere, but I don't use drugs, but that is mine, and so I just see us growing the lab continually with Aaron and watching it grow and adding more team members and being able to grow that side of the speakers retreat and just all the things that we do on outside of just our everyday day to day that encourages other people to go out and jump after their dreams, and so I don't know, that's where I kind of see myself in 3 to 5 years. And as far as the ladies of the mill, I see it just continuing to grow, and we just want to always keep it a respected community where men and women both come together to these summits and just learn from each other from a different perspective. That's our big goal is to get other women comfortable sharing their stories and understanding that they have knowledge and experience and things that need to be heard. Like it's okay, share it. You may not know exactly how to do it, but go share it. Like, it's good. And it's a different perspective and it's fresh. And so we just want to always keep it as a space that's respected, very much so in the industry. That's like our number one goal. And that's just a fun place to be. So
Nice.
I don't know, 3 to 5 years. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll be watching. That's for sure. Definitely. What advice, Jill, would you give somebody who is either planning on taking the leap into maybe branching out and starting a laboratory, or taking the leap into the digital, platform? What would you tell them?
I would tell them that fear is part of the process and that it's okay to have a healthy amount of it, but you can't ever let it overtake the thing that you think of every day that you wake up. If there's something that you wake up and it is just burning in you every single day, whether you're a risk taker, whether you're not, that fire will only stay there for so long. And you'll either help it burn and you'll go after that passion and you'll pursue it, or you'll let fear and doubts and everything else kind of douse it out. And once that's happened, it's so hard to reignite that. So if that's on your radar and that's something that you're thinking about, you only live once. Isn't that what they say? YOLO or what? I had to ask what that meant last year because I didn't know. YOLO. I was like, I don't even know what this is.
Yeah.
But it's so, so true. And that passion is only in there for a short window. And make sure you take advantage of it while it's there, because there's nothing like it. It's the most invigorating roller coaster you'll ever go on, but it has provided the most rewards ever. So
That's great. That's great advice. Great advice. We have a question, Jill. Is it okay? Can you take a couple of questions for us?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's our question. One of our ladies wants to know, what printer do you use and for what applications?
So I use the DMG America printer, and I primarily do model work on it because we do so much digital. So I primarily do model work. I've printed some all-on-4s on it. We have done knot guards on there, bleaching trays, custom tray one time. So, but primarily we use it for model work, but it has the capabilities to do the other things that I want to do. Where I'm limited currently in that printer is just with removables, like resins for removables and dentures type stuff. But for me, this printer has been wonderful. It's fit the application I needed it for. So
Perfect.
And I like it because it's pretty and that it's just white and it's not really loud and it matches my lab, which sounds ridiculous, but I'm just telling you the truth.
Yeah. Well, I could see behind there, everything looks so pretty. So, and the other picture that you had up before, it's just a beautiful space. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I just want to thank you, so much for taking time to be with me today. And
Gosh, yes.
really just being so honest with all of our attendees and your words of encouragement and just everything. I just really appreciate it. And Jill, I just wish you, so much success for the future, and especially with like Ladies of the Mill coming up. I'm sure you're just going crazy, right? Getting all that stuff ready and going. I think we have a question.
It's been a lot of there's been a lot of plate spinning here the last little while. Christine and I both have just been, we are on calls every 30 minutes, it feels like.
Oh, I'm sure.
But it's so much fun, and the reward is just so big. So it's just so nice to, when it's over, we just look at each other and we start getting those messages coming in about what it's meant to them to be there, and what they learned from it, and how their confidence grew, or how their leadership skills grew, or I went and asked for a raise, or I went and I'm the new manager. Like, when we get, God, getting those kind of emails, man, there's nothing like watching other people win.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And I don't know why I'm crying. It's ridiculous, but I've been on a little emotional roller coaster the last couple of days.
Yeah. Well,
But yeah.
that's beautiful. We should everybody should feel that way, right? We want to see everybody win. That there's a piece of the pie for everybody, and just, like I said, at the end of the day, look at what you guys, as an industry are doing, for another human being. So we want to celebrate that as much as we can here on A Look in the Lab. That's my goal, so. We
Well,
do have
thank you
another
so much,
question
Brittany.
though. Thank
Oh,
you
well,
for coming
good.
in. So William wants to know, what do you feel the best channel to generate new dentists is? He has a couple of questions.
Ooh, okay. I actually see your questions. I can
Oh,
see
you do?
here. So,
Okay, excellent. I'm so glad you can
yeah.
see that.
Okay, so every one of my dentists have mostly come from Instagram, actually. I love Instagram marketing. Instagram is oftentimes a younger clientele, and I'm a younger technician. So I'm looking to build clients that are going to be with me for like a really long time. So it works out really well for me that way. It's a great way to market your cases that you're sending out and what you can do. And it's also a pretty easy thing to use. You just got to get started on it and be consistent. Outside of that, Facebook. So for me, Instagram's number one, Facebook number two. I have a website and I drive all the traffic there, but they find me on Instagram and Facebook. And then as far as getting more traffic to your website is getting on other social media platforms, 100%. So if you'll get noticed there, then you'll have links to your website, and it is the easiest, cheapest. It is free. Hear me when I say that. Instagram and Facebook are free. I have never sent out a mailer. Free. And when is the Nashville Summit again? And can out-of-state CDTs go? Yes, we are offering CDT credits. The Nashville Summit is next weekend, so it's the 22nd and 23rd. You can find tickets on www.ladiesofthemill.com.
So again, I want to thank you and Jill so much for your candidness and your insight and your journey to where you are today. I mean, we really appreciate it at Zahn, and we wish you all the best success. And we spoke a lot about digital processes and equipment and mills and 3D printers. And I'm speaking to the attendees out there now. If you're thinking about that piece of equipment that will take your lab to the next level, and you're willing to take that leap now, rely on us at Henry Schein. Our financial services has a new financing program that's called Route 66. And what that is it offers no payments for 6 months. And that means you have no payments till next year, 2023. So we're here to help you. We're here to help you get that piece of equipment that you've been dreaming about, whether a need or a want. Take advantage of it. And if you need any more information on this new financing program called Route 66, please reach out to your Zahn representative, and they will be more than happy to put you in the right direction and give you all the information that you need. We're here to help you succeed and grow and take your lab to the next level. We want everybody to have a beautiful day. And also you'll be getting something about Route 66 in your email. So take a look at that, read it over, and again, reach out to us. We're here for you. Jill, have a wonderful day. Again, thank you so much. All of us here at Zahn are just really honored to have you here with us. And thank you for joining us here on A Look in the Lab. I'll see you next month.
Sounds good. And if anybody has any questions for us, sure, same thing. Reach out to us on all of our handles and Instagram and Facebook. We're on open book. So we're happy to help.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody, again. Bye.
Bye.